Hello and welcome to this deep dive into Big Beat using the Korg Volcas. As usual, we will recreate some Big Beat music using the Korg Volcas, but first a bit of history about this genre. Big Beat emerged in the 90s, mainly in UK, and some of the most known artists are the Chemical Brothers, Fatboy Slim, Future Sound of London, and of course The Prodigy. Originating definitely from breakbeat, but also mixing in influences of, for example, acid house, hardcore, techno, hip-hop, and also sampling loops and lyrics without any limitations from pop, disco, soul, funk, rock, movies, kids shows, literally sampling everything possible. So the main instrument was this, the sampler. For example, Fatboy Slim has been recorded using multiple Akai S950s together with his Atari 520 ST for his early productions. Chemical Brothers was seen using the Akai MPC 3000, whilst Liam from The Prodigy preferred to use his Roland W30 sampler workstation. So to say when it all started, it's hard to see exactly when breakbeat crossed over to Big Beat, but in my point of view, I think the first track that I would classify as Big Beat is the track Now by Meat Beat Manifesto, released on their album 99% in 1990. But then I would say the commercial breakthrough came with The Prodigy and the track Charlie in 1992. My own personal observation is that I think the typical Big Beat artist in the 90s was someone that started in hip-hop and breakbeat and then became more interested in the rave scene, so they basically crossed over and took the sampling techniques of sampling loops and beats from the hip-hop and breakbeat scene and then combined it with the synths and drum machines of the rave scene, and thus the result was Big Beat. But before we make some Big Beat music on our Korg Volcas, let me just first give a big thanks to everyone. I see now that I actually have 2,000 subscribers. I had no clue that this would ever happen, so I'm extremely thankful, and thanks a lot everyone for subscribing. You're all awesome. And then now to make some Big Beat using the Korg Volcas. I will use the Volca Sample now quite a lot in this production, since Big Beat was extremely focused on sampling. What I've also done is I have sampled first some rock music, so I sampled the guitar riff that is in the beginning of the track Paranoid by Black Sabbath, and I also sampled a lot of loops from this record that I found in my collection, Beatmasters Unreleased. So this is some hip-hop beats, that's just perfect for Big Beat. So I've sampled these, and I will now import these samples into my Volca Sample, and we'll start from there. So we're gonna start now with the Volca Sample, since the sampler was the main ingredients in any Big Beat track. So what I've done is I've sampled first a guitar chord from the intro of a Black Sabbath song, Paranoid. Which I can use to create the melody. So that's the first component. And then I have just the regular drum beat that I sampled from Beatmasters. And another drum beat. And then I have just a regular 909 kick drum to add some extra drums, and also a cowbell and a hand clap. I also have this sample, and I have also sampled this fill. And that is about it. So I've created some patterns. The first pattern is just the guitar riff. And then I can add a drum beat on that. Then I add the fill. Then in the next phase I add the other drum loop, this one, on top of this one. And then it sounds like this. Then yet again I use the fill. And then I do a breakdown that sounds like this. And then I have add another drum. And then I have the possibility to use only the drum beat. And I also do a variation where I can have it as a stutter loop. And for the Volca Bass I've created this sound. And I've created this sound by turning decay and release to max, cut off envelope to max, attack to min, and then I have basically peak and cut off facing each other. So peak is on like 3 o'clock and cut off is at 9 o'clock. Then I'm using 3 oscillators. The 2 bass oscillators are slightly detuned and have a saw wave, and then I have a square wave 1 octave up. And then I get this sound. And I don't dare to touch this now, because now I feel it has the perfect sound. Yeah, so see, that's the thing with hardware jamming, that since it's hardware, I don't know if I will ever get the same sound again. So that's why I typically keep it connected and don't touch it during the time I record an episode. I basically don't know if I will ever get the same sound again. So that is actually what is very cool about hardware jamming, but also a bit scary. And then I have to play around with the slide edit to have the slides where I want them to be, and then it sounds like this. So that is the Volca Bass. And then I have up here the Volca Nubass playing an acid riff. What I've done here with the sound is that I have the voltage controlled filter peak at max and quite high decay also on the filter LFO. And also what I've done with the tone is I have the pitch at min and no sub oscillator. So I tried actually to get rid of the actual sound, and what I do is I more or less play the filter. So I use the technique of having a self-oscillating filter. And then I can basically just use the cutoff to create this cool effect that I'm trying to achieve. Then I just created a pattern, sounds like this. Which I can then alter with the cutoff frequency. And to make it a bit more chunky, I also added a reverb. Then it sounds like this. So that is the acid sound from the Volca Nubass. And guess what? Now when I had actually finished everything, I just felt in my creative process that I definitely need a vocal sample also from old school hip hop in my big beat jam. So I went to my old record collection and found this one, Big Kano with stop handcuffing from 2001. Look at this actually, I bought this on a vinyl sale. It costed me 1 Swedish krona, which is like 10 cents. I must say that is a bargain. You can't buy vinyl that cheap anymore. What is so great with these hip-hop vinyls is it's almost always the radio version, you have like a club mix, but you also have an instrumental version and a cappella version. So I will use the a cappella version to sample something cool that I can upload into my Volca sampler. Let's go over to the turntables.
About my woman. About my woman. You hear me? Stop handcuffing. Handcuff this girl.
And then we'll just cut it up here into the right pieces and we will import it into the Volca Sample. So, those are all the components I plan to use. Now it's just to put them all together in a jam and we'll see how it sounds. I'm actually not very experienced in big beats. I've never produced any big beat in my career. So I'm not sure how this is gonna sound, but definitely it's gonna be very exciting and I think it's actually pretty fun to do big beat. It's all about just sampling a lot of stuff and just mixing it together and see how it turns out. Very exciting and creative process. But also before we do the jam, I will let you know that I have now planned the 2 next episodes. I will do a second deep dive of the Volca Sample where I will go through a bit more in depth how to move samples from your computer to your Volca Sample, and also a bit more deep dive on the functions on the Volca Sample that I missed the last time. And after that special Volca Sample episode there will be a new deep dive, and next time it will be deep dive into drum and bass. So with that said, now it is time to jam. Let's go!